Hello, my name is Chris Ord. Welcome to the Faith Cave. Today for your confirmation class, it's going to be a little different. First off, I'm here teaching you. Hi, how's it going? Second, it's going to be your safe environment class. Now, if you're wondering why it is we do these safe environment classes, we're not going to pretend that it has nothing to do with the different sexual harassment scandals that have gone on in the Catholic Church. That is a big part of why these programs exist and why it is a required thing that we do every year, really through all age groups of faith formation. But really, there's a larger and much more important reason that we do classes like this. And that's because as a church, it really is our job to make sure that you guys are safe, to make sure that you're taken care of, make sure that you have the skills and the tools and the understanding necessary, not just to protect yourself, but to protect those around you. It is a big part of our mission as a church that we are able to go out into the world and make sure that it is a better, more safe, more beautiful place. And we have never, as a church, ignored that there are evil things and terrible tragedies that happen every day around the world. And it's our job as Catholics, taking those tough parts of life and helping people move towards healing. Or if we can, in any situation we can, protecting people from having to go through those tragedies. That's essential to what it is to be Catholic, and a big part of why we do these types of trainings throughout the year. But before we go too into it, we are going to play a quick icebreaker game to help get the ball rolling and just to be able to help everybody to share a little bit more freely as we go on throughout this class, all right? So, for this icebreaker game, in a moment you're going to see some images of different license plates come up. I don't know if you ever see the personalized license plates, whether you have a good opinion or not about them, but sometimes they're a little hard to tell exactly what they're trying to say to the world, right? You only have 7 letters. What are you going to do with them? Let's see how good you are at interpreting license plates, all right? So you'll see the license plate come up. We'll give you a couple seconds. Just try and shout out to the room around you and see how many of them you can guess before we give you the answers, all right? Are you ready? Are you set? Let's go. All right, the goal here, remember, is to interpret the license plate. If you think you know what it says, shout it out. Try and be the first one to shout it out and get the most answers right. Are you ready? Are you set? Let's go. How'd you do? Did you do well? Did it go well? I don't know what you're saying. Doesn't matter. Hopefully you had a good time. So with license plates, sometimes it's hard to be able to interpret what it was exactly that the person who came up with those series of letters and numbers, what they were trying to tell you, right? Well, today what we're going to talk about is something called grooming, right? And in a moment we're going to show you a video from the diocese which kind of breaks it down. But similar to what we're going to see in the video, with the license plates, it's hard, and you got to spend some time trying to interpret what's going on. And the goal here today is that hopefully we're going to give you some tools to be able to interpret these things in the world. All right? So before we jump into it, a small caveat. And honestly, I'm going to tell you, as far as safety videos goes, this one's pretty good. But I think we all know that when we watch these, it's not world-class acting. It's not the greatest cinematography in the world. These things don't have a large budget. But when you set that aside, take a moment. If something a little silly happens, it's fine. But know that the message and the intention behind this video is really important and something worthwhile. So go ahead and watch it with that open mind, understanding it's not a Spielberg movie, right? So let's go take a look.
Bring it in. Everyone take a knee. I like what I'm seeing out there, but we need to work on our conditioning. I want everyone paying attention to what you eat. Make sure you get enough rest. And on days when we're not practicing, I want you running intervals. All right? Let's bring it in. Let's hear it.
S-T-A, Saints!
Anybody riding with me, get your stuff and head to my car. I got stuff to do tonight. Nice job today.
Thanks.
Now get out of here and don't be texting with Katie all night.
Okay. See you at school.
All right. I was proud of you today, Melissa. That move that you made to get past Jen was epic.
It was, wasn't it?
Why don't we celebrate with some Rocky Road?
That sounds awesome, but my mom was waiting dinner on me.
Well, we'll just tell her that practice ran late.
I do love Rocky Road.
I tell you what, we'll make it fast and keep it quiet.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds like the coach is here. Can you get the door?
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Melissa, how's it going?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Coach Williams, we're so glad you're here.
Thanks, Mrs. Matthews.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Can't complain.
You want a beer?
No, that's all right. I'd take a glass of water if you have one.
I'll get that. Do you want ice with that?
That'd be great, thanks.
So, Coach, is our little girl in trouble?
No, quite the opposite, actually. She's amazing. That's what I wanted to talk to you all about.
Oh? Let's have a seat.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
So, what's up?
Well, Melissa has made remarkable progress in the last few weeks. If she's up for it, I think she has a shot to make the elite squad.
Really? That's fabulous.
I'm proud of you, sweetie.
Here's the thing, though. If she's going to make it, it's going to take some extra time, some extra practice. There's still a couple things that we need to improve on. Now, Melissa, I'm willing to work with you on this, but it's going to be hard. You have to be sure that you want to do this and that you're willing to do whatever needs to be done. It's a family decision. So take some time, think about it, talk about it. Let me know whatever you decide. Good work out there today, Melissa. Looks like you're really starting to get it.
Feels like it.
Let's grab some water.
Perfect. Thanks, Coach.
No problem. You good?
Yeah.
All right. Let's get you stretched out.
Okay.
Calves are pretty tight today.
Yeah.
Did we get it?
Yeah, feels good.
All right. So, who's taking you to the dance on Saturday night?
Jimmy.
The kid with all the piercings?
Yes, Coach, the kid with all the piercings.
Huh. So you're into that whole bad boy thing, huh?
No. Well, maybe a little.
Well, are you gonna wear chains to go with his piercings? Or...
No, I'm wearing a really cute black dress.
Well, I bet you'll be beautiful. Text me a picture.
I will.
Let's get you home. What's your dad up to?
We're having a barbecue next weekend, and Mom's been after him to fix the deck.
Huh. Looks like he could use some help. Hey, Mr. Matthews, let me give you a hand with that.
That's okay, I got it.
No, please, let me help. It's much easier with two.
All right.
Bye, Coach. See you at school.
See you, Melissa. Have a good night. You know, I worked my way through school as a trim carpenter. I could help you knock out these repairs in just a couple hours.
I couldn't ask you to do that.
It'd be nice to swing a hammer again.
Well, you know, I could use the help. How's 9 o'clock Saturday morning sound?
Sounds great. I'll be here with my tools.
Okay. I'll see you then.
Yeah. girls. How's it going?
Good. Great. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Oh, how was your trip?
It was awesome. I climbed another 14er.
Cool. Was it hard?
It totally kicked my butt. Hey, Melissa, before you leave today, I need you to stop by my office, if you would, please.
Sure.
Great. Hey, I gotta get going. I'll see you guys later. Hey, Melissa, come on in. How you doing?
Good.
It's good to see you.
Thanks, Coach.
You know, I really missed you while I was gone.
Yeah, that was a weird week.
I brought you something.
What is it?
It's a book of poems from the 60s by Rod McEwen. I found it at a used bookstore. Thought you might like it.
You are so sweet. I'm sure I'll love it.
You know, it's probably best if we just keep this between us.
Of course.
Great shot! Let's call it a day.
Coach, I really want to make the elite squad, and I know that would never happen without all the extra time you spend with me.
First of all, when we're alone, you can call me Adam.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Okay.
And second, you know, I really enjoy the time that we spend together. You're so talented, so mature and so beautiful. So different than other girls your age.
Wow. Thanks, Adam.
Soon after what you just saw, the coach began having sexual intercourse with Melissa. The coach continued having intercourse with Melissa on an almost weekly basis until she finally went away to college. Like many offenders, the coach was patient and methodical. He engaged in a process known as grooming that ultimately led to his long-term sexual abuse of Melissa. By the end of the story, you were probably aware that trouble was afoot. But at what point before that did you begin to have concerns? Were you concerned when the coach took several of the girls home after practice? How about when the coach was alone in the car with Melissa for the first time? Were you at all uneasy when the coach took Melissa for ice cream? The coach seemed totally sincere when he met with Melissa's parents. Did you sense a problem? While they were cooling down after practice, the coach initiated a conversation about who Melissa was dating. Did anything in that conversation give you cause for concern? How about the follow-up text exchange between the coach and Melissa? The coach bought Melissa a small gift. He also asked her to keep the gift a secret. Did that seem appropriate to you? Finally, the encounter when the coach embraced Melissa. Hard to miss that. Everything the coach did was part of the grooming process. Grooming is a subtle, gradual, and escalating process of building trust and emotional connection with a targeted victim. Offenders may groom an intended victim for weeks, months, or even years before the abuse becomes overtly sexual. There is a tendency to assume that sexual abuse is mostly committed by strangers, but the truth is 95% of all sexual abuse is perpetrated by people who are known and trusted, often individuals who are firmly entrenched in the community. During the grooming process, offenders ignore rules and cross boundaries. In the early stages of grooming, some of these behaviors at first glance may seem relatively harmless, but without question, they are indicators of concern. Let's look back at some of the key indicators. Early in the story, the coach was alone with Melissa in his car. This is almost always a policy violation. Except in emergency situations, a student riding alone with a non-related teacher is a bad idea. Please understand, if you see a colleague with a student in his or her car, you shouldn't necessarily assume sexual abuse is taking place. But you do need to make a mental note, and you need to be more vigilant regarding the colleague's behavior. There may be a perfectly legitimate reason for a student riding with your colleague, but you also need to be aware that offenders are always looking for ways to be alone with intended victims.
That sounds awesome, but my mom's waiting dinner on me.
Well, we'll just tell her that practice ran late.
I do love Rocky Road.
I tell you what, we'll make it fast and keep it quiet.
Now this is a real problem. Not only is the coach stepping way outside his proper role by taking Melissa for ice cream, he's encouraging Melissa to betray her parents and to keep a secret. This is a common tactic of offenders. They try to make their intended victims complicit in deceit. If the victim fears being caught in a lie, she is far less likely to tell anyone about the offender's inappropriate behavior.
But it's a family decision. So take some time, think about it, talk about it. Let me know whatever you decide. You know, I worked my way through school as a trim carpenter. I could help you knock out these repairs in just a couple hours.
Offenders often groom adults who are associated with the intended victim. Offenders work hard to be seen as helpful, competent, and trustworthy. Many times they're unusually available to do favors. Their goal is to generate such goodwill that their character is beyond reproach, and their true motives are simply unimaginable.
Cabs are pretty tight today.
Yeah.
As careful as they are, sometimes offenders do cross boundaries within the view of other people. How would you have responded if you saw the coach massaging Melissa?
The kid with all the piercings?
Yes, Coach, the kid with all the piercings.
Huh. So you're into that whole bad boy thing, huh?
No. Well, maybe a little.
Another common tactic of offenders is to venture into the private or romantic life of the intended victim. If these intrusions are not rebuffed or reported, the offender will usually make the conversation even more sexual. Texting a young person without the parent's knowledge is never acceptable, but the sexual content of that exchange goes way beyond the pale. This is an example of how an initial, seemingly benign personal inquiry can escalate into a provocative and inappropriate conversation.
I brought you something.
What is it?
It's a book of poems from the 60s by Rod McEwen. I found it at a used bookstore. I thought you might like it.
You are so sweet. I'm sure I'll love it.
You know, it's probably best if we just keep this between us.
Of course.
Gift giving and secrecy are two common grooming tools. Gifts are used to make the intended victim feel special. Secrecy isolates the victim from family and friends. During this session, we've focused on some of the grooming behaviors used by offenders. We've focused on these behaviors because although you'll likely never see actual sexual abuse, you can spot grooming behaviors, hopefully before any actual abuse takes place. Grooming can take many forms and varies with the age of the intended victim, but any of these behaviors are cause for serious concern. Of course, the isolated occurrence of one of these behaviors doesn't necessarily mean sexual abuse is taking place. Even so, if you become aware of any of these behaviors, you must, at the very least, increase your scrutiny of the person engaging in the behavior. If a cluster of these concerning behaviors begins to form, or if your gut just tells you something isn't quite right, it's time to take action.
You may have noticed right around the end of that video that the video was actually intended for people like me to watch. Adults who are in charge of supervising minors. This doesn't make this video any less valuable or any less true for you to watch, but I think it's important that we understand that as a supervisor of minors, me, I'm legally responsible for your safety. So the woman at the end uses some strong language to emphasize that I need to be watching for these things and reporting these things. As a minor yourself, you are not legally responsible for the safety of those around you. That doesn't mean that you can't help. It doesn't mean that we're not right now trying to give you tools to be able to help yourself and those around you to be more safe. But know that any abuse that happens to any friends or relatives or anyone around you is never your fault. As a minor, you're as much a victim of the abuse that goes on around you as the person being abused. Tonight is mostly about making sure that you guys have the tools and the knowledge to be able to help yourselves and those around you in the time of need. All right, well, in a moment, we're going to take some time to do a little bit of small group sharing. So whether you're with your family or with the class, that's what we're going to move into. I just want to take a moment and say that if for any reason that was difficult for you to watch, maybe you've had personal experience with it, maybe you could just empathize with someone who would be in a situation like that, I'm really sorry. And just know that moving into this sharing, we're not going to be asking you to share any personal experience with a situation like this. This isn't going to be the goal of the sharing that's coming up. What we are going to do is we're going to take some time to identify some trusted adults in your life. Studies have shown that young people who have 5 adults that they can trust in their life tend to be safer from all kinds of at-risk situations. And we're going to take some time as a group, kind of brainstorm the different trusted adults you might have in your life. Now, if you don't quite have 5, it's not the end for you. Don't worry. Maybe this is just a time to realize that, oh, maybe there are a couple adults in my life that could become trusted adults. Or maybe this is the time for you to start opening up to some people that you know to be trustworthy, and creating that line of communication so that if you ever needed anything, you could reach out to them. While some of the conversations that might come up as you're sharing about these things might be uncomfortable, they're also really important ones to have. And if at any moment you really start to feel the desire in your heart to reach out to a trusted adult in your life about a situation like we saw in the video, this really is the time. It's more than just your brain reminding you of something that happened because of a video you saw. I want you to know that that is the voice of the Holy Spirit inside you welling up and responding to what's going on in the world around you and trying to give you the courage to step out and seek out that help and seek out that healing. But before we get too much into talking, let's go into our small groups. All right, well, this is going to bring us to the end of our safe environment training. Now, while this conversation only encompassed one thing, which was grooming, please know that if you need any help with anything, you can feel free to reach out to me or any of the trusted adults that you have in your life. This is the perfect opportunity right now. What we're going to do, though, is go on to our closing prayer. And what I'd ask is that you, if you're with a group or if you're with your class or whoever you're with, we're going to pray a decade of the Rosary for any teens or youths, really, of any age that are going through abuse. We know that it's more than anyone likes to talk about. Studies show that it's about 1 in 5 kids under the age of 18 are abused in some way. And while this class is kind of all about how there are more things we can do than just pray, that doesn't reduce the fact that prayer helps. And that we have a mother in our Mother Mary, who cares about us as though we're her children. So let's take a moment and pray for any people who are in these tough situations and need help and need healing and need a way out. We're going to say a decade of the Rosary for them. Don't worry if it's been a while since you've prayed the Rosary. We'll include a guide shortly after this video. And with that, I really just want to say, peace be with you. Please keep my family in your prayers and know that all of your families are in mine. Keep playing games together, keep praying together, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.